Hello, everyone. We're here for lesson 1.7. We're going to start in the note-taking guide. So if you don't have that, hit pause, go grab the note-taking guide, open to 1.7. 1.7 is just called a problem-solving plan. It's kind of using some things that should be reviewed from the past, but we'll go over them here, looking at different ways you can solve some problems. We'll look at a couple examples here and maybe one or two in the study guide. And then you'll see some different examples in the practice if you look at that, and then the review, which I will talk about here in a little bit. So example 1, it says the table shows the size of each container of juice in fluid ounces and the cost of each in dollars. Which juice is a better buy? So juice A is 48 ounces for $3.39. Juice B is 64 ounces for $4.09. So if any of you had me last year, we did this type of stuff. So this should be review. If not, it shouldn't be too long for you to kind of catch up on this. So we're going to decide which one is a better buy. It says the table tells you the size and cost of each, so just what we just went over here, the size and the cost. To find out what a better buy is, these are the main formulas here. Well, it's one formula, but for each juice. So to find unit cost or price per one thing, you take the cost divided by the amount, or in this case, they call it size. So they give you, it says which one of these we would use. This says cost over size. This one says size over cost. This is the wrong one. You always do cost on top per size. Okay, so the answer, letter A, unit cost is taking the cost divided by the size. So when we go back to this specific problem, we just set up for each juice, we put the cost. It's $3.39 for 48 ounces. It's $4.09 for 64 ounces. This comes out, there's more decimals involved here, but when we divide here, it comes out to be about 0.07 or 7 cents per ounce. This one's about 6 cents per ounce. So it's not a big difference, okay? But if you're going just strictly on which is the better buy, juice B would be the better buy. And in real life, that doesn't mean you always buy that one. If you're not going to drink that much and it's going to go bad, then you might be better off buying the. When the question is just which is the better buy as far as price, this would be juice B. Okay. They talk a little bit more about problem-solving plan here. And this just goes for real life too. When you're solving a problem, understand the problem. Okay, so make sure you read it carefully, understand what's actually being asked, make a plan. Okay, then you solve, and then you look back to see if your answer is correct. Okay, or if it even makes sense. Let's look at example 3. It says you have 2 pen pals. Pen pal from Mexico sends you 55 pesos. Pen pal from Japan sends you 725 yen. It says $1 US dollar is equivalent to 10.13 pesos. $1 US dollar is equivalent to 122.63 yen. Find the total amount in US dollars you received from your pen pal. So they go through and set it up a little differently than I would, but read and understand is still going to be the same process. So it says you receive 55 pesos, 725 yen. It's just restating how many pesos is a dollar, how many yen are a dollar. Okay, and then we have to figure out how much money in US dollars we actually have. To convert, they use a little bit different way of converting. You could read through this and see if you like it, but I like making proportions better. So I'm still going to use the same type of setup here. they have $1 equals 10.13 pesos. Okay. And then I'm going to set that equal to, now I look at how many pesos they gave, the pen pal gave, 55. Now since this is dollars is on top, $1 is 10.13 pesos. I'm putting the amount of pesos they gave on the bottom here. And now what I'm looking for is how many dollars that is. So if you remember solving proportions, and we'll do more of this later this year, but you cross multiply and divide, meaning you take the diagonal with two numbers, you multiply them, and then you divide by the other number. So the multiplication here is easy. By 10.13, and then you're still going to get that 5.43 that they get. So you get $5.43 in pesos, and then you do the same thing for the yen. You have $1 is 122.62 yen. We don't know how many US dollars that is, but whatever it is, they gave us 725 yen. Okay, so again, we do this cross multiply. 1 times 725 is 725 divided by the 122.62, and you get $5.91. Okay, so 543 in pesos, 591 in yen. You add them up, you get $11.34. Okay, so that's how to use like proportions. That's kind of a review. Let's take a look at a couple other. So if you get a problem like that on the assignment or the review, you'll be able to know how to do that. Let's take a look at the study guide. Okay, so again, just another different type of problem, and there's a couple ways of solving this, but so let's take a look here. It says you are walking in a 5-mile fundraising event. You walked the first 2 miles in 40 minutes. How long will it take you to finish the event at the same rate? Okay. It says, what do you know? The total distance is 5 miles. You walk 2 miles in 40 minutes. What do you want to find out? You want to know how long it will take to walk the rest of the 5 miles, meaning you have 3 more miles to go. So how much longer it's going to take to go 3 miles? Okay, there's a couple different ways you could do this. Okay. Now, I'm going to walk you through what they did, and then I'm going to go back and show you 2 different ways of doing it. Here it says, what formula can you use to find the walking rate? Well, they go over that here. So they go back to some things we did in the other section. They use the distance formula, which is distance equals rate times time. Now, I don't think this is the way I would solve this, but it works. Now, from that, they figured out the rate. You know, we gave you this in it was either last section or the one before. Rate equals distance divided by time. Okay. So I don't like what they're doing here. Let's read through this. It says to find the number of miles you have left, subtract the distance you walked from the total distance. So we talked about that. You've walked 2 miles, there's 5 miles total, so you're going to go 3 miles. I see they made a misprint here. So we did 2 miles in 40 minutes. I think they made a big misprint here. So I don't know how they did this. This should be a 2 because we walked 2 miles and we've done it in 40 minutes. And now 2 divided by 40 does equal this 0.05 miles per minute. That's why I paused for a second there. We have walked 2 miles in 40 minutes, so the rate is 0.05 miles per minute. Now, you take that, and now this was another formula they gave you the other day. Time equals distance divided by rate. So we have 3 miles to go, 0.05 miles per minute. You divide, you get 60. Okay, so I think that way is confusing. So let's go over 2 other ways of doing it. One, we can do just like I just did in the note-taking guide, use a proportion. Okay, we went 2 miles in 40 minutes. I think this will be the easiest way to solve this one. And there's maybe one other way. We need to know, we have 3 miles to go. So we talked about that. It's 5 miles total. So there's 3 miles left. We don't know how long that's going to take to do the 3 miles. So we cross multiply and divide. We take the diagonal with 2 numbers. So 3 times 40. Divide by the other number. So 3 times 40 is 120. Divided by 2. So this number would go down there, and that was where the minutes were on the bottom. So it would take us 60 minutes to finish. Okay. So I think that's an easier way of doing it. Other way of doing it, you can just kind of, sometimes the numbers work out and you can kind of think logically and say, well, 2 miles took 40 minutes. So 2 more miles would be another 40 minutes. Okay, so another 40 minutes would be 2 miles. I mean, I got 1 more mile to go to get that 3 miles. 1 mile is half of 2 miles, so half of this is 20. And then, so it must equal 60. So sometimes you can think through things like that if the numbers work out easy enough. So there's just a couple of different ways of doing that. So I think that's all we need to talk about there. Practice, you could go and try any of these problems. Remember that this is worth extra credit. The answers are in the back. If you're not getting the answers, you can ask me questions. Okay. And then your next assignment for tomorrow, I will post a review. Okay. And that review, I might even, maybe that'll come today. But the review will have some problems on here like this, and you try those, and that'll be the main thing. Is if you get those, then you're going to be good for the test. These again will be worth extra credit, and they can only help. If you're not getting the answers in the back, ask me questions, and we'll figure it out. Okay. All right. Any questions? Let me know.